This is the Empowered Woman Show, episode number 15.
Welcome to the Empowered Women Show, inspiring women with small voices but big dreams to step up and fulfill their extraordinary potential. And now your host, Casey Lightbody.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Empowered Women Show. I'm your host, Casey Lightbody, and I'm so excited to have Bec Derrington on the show today. Bec founded free media lead site Sourcebottle in 2009 so that everyone could have a better chance to share their story with the media, as well as to generate powerful publicity for themselves. Recognized as a game changer, Sourcebottle has transformed the way that media and potential sources both connect and interact in Australia and beyond. I'm so pleased to have Bec on the show. Welcome, Bec.
Oh, thank you so much, Kate.
So I'd love to dive into your story and kind of go back to before you started Sourcebottle, Bec, and really share with the people that don't know you, which I find hard to believe, but the people that don't know you, like how did you come up with the concept, and can you share with us a little bit of your story of how you got started?
Sure. Look, so Casey, I was working in PR and media and corporate communications for a long time, but then I moved to Melbourne and I lost a lot of my media contacts, and so what that meant is I was representing a whole lot of clients and finding it difficult to make meaningful connections with a lot of the journalists, and this is back in sort of 2005, 2006, and I started my own consultancy because I had my first child, and that was when I started to really encounter the problems. And for me, it just sort of, it highlighted the real issue with the public relations industry, right. Which is that unless you had someone actively representing you as a publicist or a public relations consultant, or you were well known anyway because you'd been successful in the media and you had a high visible profile, it was really hard to get your story shared with the media. And you know, you had the devices and tools like press releases and things, but a lot of journalists were frustrated with that process anyway because they were being inundated with irrelevant press releases, and they were, you know, moving into sort of becoming freelance journalists and sometimes covering a whole lot of different industries, and then and just finding, you know, so someone would get a media list and just spam a whole sea of journalists, you know, spray and pray kind of approach, thinking that maybe one of them would find it interesting. And I sort of liken it to, I have this sort of metaphor like you're a restaurant. If you were a restaurant and you operated the same way that the media industry was operating at the time, you'd be broke because, you know, it'd be like sort of walking in, sitting down at a table, and then the waiting staff putting a whole sea of dishes in front of you and hoping that you liked one of them. Yeah. And I'm thinking, why aren't we just asking journalists what they want, you know? So if they're working on a story, and this crowdsourcing phenomenon was starting to really take shape, right? And you could see sort of Twitter and Facebook, and journalists were getting really smart about building a community and starting to reach out to that community. And I thought, well, I could probably do it even better. I could make a really big community, and collectively we could get access to great fresh talent, new stories that journalists would benefit from having access to, and they don't have to do all the legwork, and also people would get an opportunity without having to pay, you know, a publicist necessarily or anything else, or to actually be able to respond and share their stories. So it just seemed to me like a bit of a no-brainer, and then I just devised a model to do it. I have no technical skills at all, so for me it was like I had to find a really good agency that could build it for me. Right. Yeah, so that was it.
That's fantastic, and just so creative that you came up with that concept, but just recognizing the need that was in the market and just kind of filling that need, Bec.
Oh, well, thank you. But I think for me it was just like, this is a real problem. Like, this is a real problem, and we can really fix it. We can. And then maybe I was just a really dud PR consultant, and I thought, oh God, it's got to be an easier way to fix it. But yeah, it just made sense to me. And look, it took a while though, seriously, Casey, because unless people understood the flaws in the PR industry, it felt they wouldn't necessarily understand the advantages of a service like this. And a lot of journalists were a bit sceptical, particularly the older ones who had their sea of contacts, thinking this is a way of cheating. Like, this is the lazy style of journalism,
right,
you know. And I was thinking, you know, I don't think so. It's not going to replace your traditional journalistic tools. It's just going to supplement them.
Yeah.
And so, you know, why wouldn't you take advantage of it?
Absolutely. I love it, Bec. And I just wanted to touch on something where you said that it was obviously not easy. And I think everyone who's kind of become an entrepreneur certainly knows that the journey is not plain sailing, you know. And I know you're a mum of 3 boys as well as juggling this amazing business. So what would you say, I kind of want to dive in a little bit around the challenges and obstacles that you've faced along the way, Bec. And what would you say is your biggest challenge so far? And I know it's probably hard to name one, but is there something specific that stands out in your mind as kind of the biggest challenge that you've experienced in your journey so far?
Well, look, I think there's probably 3, just really quickly.
Yeah.
But one is when you have a sort of an idea like this, and it's a bit of a, they always say it's a disruptor. You know, it's a disruptor to the industry.
Yeah.
You're going to get met with resistance because people become very accustomed to doing things the way they've always done. And so disruptors sometimes get shunned because they're challenging the model. So I did get resistance, and that was really hard for me to deal with because I took it very personally, which is silly, really. You know, it's really silly, but I took it very personally, and I think, you know, and I got incredibly frustrated by this lack of taking a shot and trying and seeing whether it works. And so there was that. There's also the isolation. You know, I work by myself, for myself, and I often think that the best ideas come out of a bit of rigor. Yeah. So they come out of being challenged by other like-minded sort of people that can see the potential. They're not trying to cut you down, but they're trying to sort of show you this is a better way.
Yes.
And so I had to learn and make the mistakes out in the open.
Right,
with the
publicly.
marketplace. Very publicly.
Yeah.
Sort of no one there necessarily to say, you know, before you do that, you should probably think about this. That would be a really good idea. So I had to just go out there and make the mistakes. And I think the other thing that I've always felt very challenged with is I'm the primary caregiver of my kids, and so I'm often feeling like I'm neglecting my kids or I'm neglecting my business, and I've never found a way of, other than just saying, look, just stop feeling that way. I've never found a solution to sort of find that perfect balance. I have no balance. Something will always suffer, and I just learned
to live with it. I think we can all kind of, resonate with that, Bec. It's a real challenge for sure to try and find that balance. But I just wanted to touch on that. One of those points that you mentioned is that you are disrupting the industry, and so it was kind of, you took it really personally. So what were the kind of things that you did to kind of overcome that, as you know, that challenge that you had? And did you have any lessons learnt? You know, now that you've come out the other side, Sourcebottle is an accepted, amazing platform for people where, you know, there's the collaboration between media and potential sources, and it's just an awesome platform. But, you know, and very well known and accepted in the industry now. So how did you kind of overcome that, Bec?
Look, I think I'm pretty stubborn.
Yeah.
And I just so there's one part of me. But you know what else I have, Casey? And I've been really lucky. I have a lot of great, smart friends, particularly women friends, who probably just sort of, you know, said, well, stop taking it personally, or suck it up, princess, or, you know, just who gives a rat's what they're saying, and just keep persevering and stop taking it personally, and get it. And my husband is also fantastic at that sort of stuff. Like he doesn't take it personally.
Yeah.
He doesn't take things personally, and he's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
And so I think that emotional attachment to the issues and the issues that people were having with the business, whether it was a technological failing, you know, I'd have the server would just, you know, dump everybody and it wouldn't work, or all these sorts of things. I started to really, instead of wearing them all, I just started to go, life will go on.
Yeah.
Things will, you know, and I think people are more forgiving than I thought about when you make mistakes.
Yeah.
So you make mistakes, and the more honest you are about owning up to the mistake and sort of saying, okay, well, that was pretty crap, and I'm really sorry about that. I'll do better next time. And if you do show that the platform's improving, it's going in the right direction, I think people are probably more prepared to give you another shot. And so I think it was a combination of me saying, look, and a girlfriend saying to me, suck it up. That's just life. That's business. And thinking, well, I'm doing my best. And I'm just going to get better, and I'm learning all the time. So these lessons are not being ignored, and I think that really helps. And each day you'll have a bad day, but then you'll have a good day. And so those little victories, those little successes can really, I think, keep you on track.
Bolster your confidence for sure. Yeah. And I love that you touch on having that team surrounding yourself with a team of supporters, because I think that's so important, Bec. I've certainly found in my experience, having some girlfriends or some women entrepreneurs that are really savvy and supportive, but they can also kind of give you some constructive criticism as well. So your real champions can get behind you. And I think that support is just, as women entrepreneurs, is just so, so important.
So true. I absolutely agree, Casey. I really do. And I mean, so this kind of thing where you're giving opportunity to people to hear everyone's story so that they can learn from their mistakes and they can understand that, it's not just me that thinks that.
Exactly.
And I mean, absolutely. Those sorts of things are invaluable. So thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Bec. And so also I wanted to touch on we've talked about the challenges, but it also can be so rewarding as an entrepreneur. So since you've kind of launched Sourcebottle in 2009, you've been on the journey for, over 5 years. What does it really mean to you to be an entrepreneur now?
It's really funny. I've never felt comfortable with the term entrepreneur. I feel, I don't think anything that I've done is remarkable. I just think it was, to be a really good entrepreneur, you should probably have a very good sort of business strategy, but I didn't even really have that. So for me, it's been a bit of an accidental kind of lumbering along type journey, and I've
amazing.
And I've managed to turn it into something that's actually resembles a business.
It's incredible.
Money's coming out and not going in. So I do find that term really I feel a little inadequate describing myself that way. But look, for the sake of the conversation, I think it was to do. You were asking me what's good about it, or is that what you were asking me?
Yeah. So what does it mean? What does it really mean to you? Rather than working in corporate, because you've worked in corporate and you've took the plunge, and it's a scary plunge into, business of your own and things like that. And, as we talked about, serious ups and downs and challenges, and, you have a couple of little wins and then you have a setback. So to be in business, you've really got to be a certain kind of person, I think, and, really resonate with your why are you actually doing this? What does it really mean to you to do that? And so that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Look, I think probably I could see an idea whose time had come, and I thought I really got to run with this and throw my whole entity behind it, because I just thought if I continue to try to do half-ass things. I mean, I certainly had frustrations working as a PR consultant that probably made me think I would really like to set up a business where I'm not limited by the number of hours in a day.
Yep.
I'm not on call all the time. I mean, I'm a bit on call, but it's not the same sort of thing. And a business that could probably operate independently of me, which would be great. So in terms of being an entrepreneur or creating this sort of business, what it means to me is that I could give rise to my idea in a business form. I could be home for my kids and be flexible enough so that my middle son's home today, crook. And so it wasn't a crisis. I didn't think, oh my God, how am I going to juggle this? Oh, you just got to go to school. Okay, if you vomit at school, that's okay.
Totally.
I can be flexible enough. And so it gives me though it gives both my husband and me the benefits of that lifestyle. And so I suppose that's what winning in this industry means to me. But as you know, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally work in progress. But I also get it. You know, I work from home, and it's just that freedom to, you know, if one's at home sick, you can just be at home, and it's not a drama, you know. Or one of them's got an award actually later, and I've got to go to school, and I can just pop down and go and see him receive his award, and it's just so easy. So it's that freedom and flexibility. And making a difference. You know, you've created this platform that just makes it easy for people to connect and interact online, Bec. So I mean, that's transformed, as you said, it's been a game changer. It's really transformed the industry, you know. So making a huge difference like that, it's just incredible. So I'd also want to know now what's kind of in store. What's really exciting you at the moment in terms of, I know you've been really busy moving house and all sorts of things, but what's really exciting you in either your life or your business now in 2015?
For 2015, I sort of made a commitment last year. I felt like I finally got the business model right with Sourcebottle. Advertising had been for a long time its primary revenue stream,
right? And
then I added a couple of subscription arms, and then I added another subscription arm last year that I thought could be really, really useful and offer a lot of value to subscribers, because it's a traditional freemium model. You know, the service is free; it will always be free. You know, for everybody to use, and I think that's fundamental. So, but there are some premium offers that people have the choice to opt in, opt out, whatever suits them as they need to. And I think now that model's right, it's now time for me to really focus on scale. And so, but not just scale in Australia, because I've been very Australian-centric for a while. So this year, I really want to sort of grow it in the UK and the US, and I'm actually going to go there, both to the UK and the US, and start to be very more aggressive about the growth strategy and try to really accelerate that process, because the whole thing's been very organic for a long time. In fact, the whole time I've rarely promoted it. It's a wonderful thing about the community that it supports, because everyone shares.
It's just word of mouth.
This is a great opportunity.
It's just phenomenal. Yeah, it's incredible.
And it's wonderful. It's so wonderful. But you know, but I do believe you've got to have a presence in the market that you're in, and so and I've been here, and I'm got my kids, and so it suited me perfectly. But I just feel like now that I feel like the platform's really good, I think it's a really good service. I would like to be permeating that market.
So exciting. Oh, that's brilliant. I can't wait to see when you take Sourcebottle. That's just going to be amazing.
Well, wait and see. I mean, these great ideas, but I think I've got to stay really, I mean, I want to set those big, hairy, audacious goals. Because, you know, even if it's a little bit short of that, that's okay.
Exactly.
Because it's not, I'm stepping right out into it, and
that's
it's not the way I comfortably operate. So it's challenging, but I think I need to do it.
Yeah, and I think just setting those goals and setting the intention really, you know, I think I've certainly found is that just setting that intention really, you know, you start kind of gearing your whole strategy towards that. It's your mindset that starts, you know, heading you in that direction. And I think just setting the intention really helps. And writing it down. Writing it down. You're a big hairy goal. I'm going, yeah.
I do. No, but you're absolutely right. And setting some very tangible goals. So even if I say they're a little bit maybe beyond what I'm able to do, as long as they're not disheartening, but setting them to a point where I think, okay, that's really pushing me.
That's right.
I'm just going to try really hard.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Bec. I love it. Oh, it's just been so interesting talking to you. Now, I'm just going to dive a little bit into lightning round, so it's a little bit off topic, but I just wanted to chat with you about what you think. You know, we've spoken about some challenges in the industry and being a woman entrepreneur, or I just wanted to find out from you what you thought was the biggest barrier to female entrepreneurship in today's society, because I think lots of women are wanting to take that plunge, and I think there's certainly some barriers in the way. What would you say they are?
I really think it's a lot to do with our self-limiting belief and our imposter syndrome. I really believe that I don't think I've ever let a male or anyone else hold me back. My biggest challenge has been overcoming my own insecurity and my own self-belief. So for me, it's imposter syndrome all the way around, and I think that it's nice when you finally see that for what it is, because it's not such a hard thing to say, stop it. Like, just stop it. I went and saw that Ariana Huffington last year, I think, at one of her events, and she was talking about, I think it was, she called it the bitch flatmate or something in her head.
Okay,
like
cool.
She always talks about, there's this bitch is in my head, and she said she was on a talk show, and the guy host, I can't remember which one of those American talk shows, she said, and she sounds very much like you, which I thought was very funny. But the one who says, oh, those jeans are tight, and you go, oh, well, I must have put them in the dryer, and that little bitch that says to you, actually, you've been eating desert cake. And I think that's the same one that tells you, oh, you're not up to that. You're not up to that.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be contributing to this conversation. And that whole sort of, lean in and all those things. I just think that's my biggest belief in terms of how women at times hold me.
Yeah, it's incredible. Everyone that I've interviewed so far, that's the single most popular, it's actually the only answer that people are giving. It's amazing how we get in our own way. And as soon as you kind of recognize that, and as you say, just quieten that little voice, tell it to shut up and just carry on and shut up and carry on making your mistakes and learning from them, Bec, which you're a prime example of the success of that, just because of just taking action despite not knowing everything and not worrying about your mistakes and just kind of getting on with it. It's incredible. So another question for you is, now in terms of women entrepreneurs or women that you really inspire you, have you got one particular woman that really stands out that inspires you?
It's so hard because a lot of the women that inspire me are women that no one would know their names necessarily, and people, they inspire me in different ways. My mother has always inspired me a lot. She's got an incredible work ethic, a great drive. She's very creative, and I just don't have her energy. I've never had her energy, but she's very persistent and tenacious, and I really admire that. I admire people like Mia Friedman. I love these self-made people that sort of are faced with a challenge and think, okay, well, and another disruptor, kind of just changing the way things work. And but then a lot of women I know, women like yourself, like women who just sort of say, just take ownership of their life and make it happen. And so I don't. I look at female politicians, I look at world leaders, and that are women, and they all inspire me. But it's so and some school mums, I think, God, you're a great mum. So I guess little bits from everybody. There's not one sort of I haven't got one hero.
It's really interesting, and also you touch on a point where they inspire you for different reasons, and that's another thing that I really believe is that every single woman has got unique gifts to offer, and it's just I'm the same as you. I think so many people inspire me. In fact, every single guest on this show inspires me every day, which is why I love doing this. It doesn't feel like work. Bec, and to end with, do you have a favorite business quote that you kind of live your life, or a life quote for that matter, that you live by, that really resonates with you?
I have a few quotes. I was trying to sort of think, what's a really cerebral one that I could share that would be really impactful. I used to look at Winston Churchill's quote. I had it on my card, on a card on my desk. Yeah. And it was never, never, never give up. Right? And I used to think that was good. And then there was another one, and then sometimes I had a picture of Stephen Bradbury, the ice skater. Yes. That just was the last person standing. And I thought, that's inspiring. Just hang in there, be the last person standing. But then I think, and I said it earlier, a girlfriend said to me, suck it up, princess, just suck it up. And And I honestly refer to that more than anything.
I love it.
It's not really, wow, that is so meaningful. And it's certainly, not going to go down in the greatest thinkers quotes, but it really does. It does sort of make me go, oh, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Snap out of it and suck it up and move on. and that's worked for me.
Oh, Bec, I love it. I love it. You're so much fun. It's just been an amazing interview. Thank you so much for your time. I'm sure my guests are going to get a heap out of this. And I'd love to be able to share where we can find you online. I mean, we all know Sourcebottle, but where can we find you online so I can link it to the show notes, Bec?
Well, so Sourcebottle is the main thing, but on social media, you mean? So I'm at Bec Derrington, and I'm also, so that's BEC, and also LinkedIn, Bec Derrington, Facebook, Bec Derrington. I'm pretty boring. I'm not very creative in that front.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I'll be sure to link to Sourcebottle too, so that everyone can find out, if they haven't heard of the site, to find out all about it. So thank you so much for your time, Bec. It's been amazing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for listening and watching. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, were inspired, had some aha moments, and a couple of takeaways that you can implement into your business today to start finding your voice and creating a business and life that you love.